Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. We got some people signing in. It's always great to see people on a Monday evening, so welcome, everyone. We're waiting for probably about a bunch more. I'm going to give it another minute just in case people are running late or having any difficulty logging into Zoom. If you could, you want to share where you're watching the video from. We have a Q&A. Plus, I know if it's working well, if I see the Q&A. We've had people as far away as Canada and Florida within the last two webinars. So great. Everyone, though, that was on those webinars had a property that was in the suburban Philadelphia area, and that's the connection. So again, welcome. Some more people coming on board. Awesome. We're going to get started. We'll wait for, we got somebody who just responded. Awesome. Oh, someone I even know. That's awesome. At East Norton, so Montgomery County. So far, everybody looks like they're right around here on the map. Let's check our timing. Okay, we got some more people. Welcome, everyone. We are going to get started. We're going to run about an hour tonight, depending on how many questions we get. And in each section, you're certainly welcome to put a question in the chat box, the Q&A. I'll try to answer. Hopefully, they're not too difficult. Actually, I've been able to answer every question when I've done these. All right, so we're going to be talking about some system strategies and solutions for selling smart, especially during COVID-19. Some of the things we're going to focus on tonight, as soon as the computer wakes up, is we're going to be talking about our digital process that offers 3D virtual showing tours so we can practice social distancing. Again, because we don't know what's going to happen with the pandemic. Everything I'm watching and seeing, it seems like it's starting to come back a little bit. So who knows what will happen? Hopefully it won't, but we got to be prepared. We'll talk about some improvements. What things can you do to get a return on your investment, right? That's something I always focus on for home sellers. This computer doesn't like me tonight. And how to sell fast and for top dollar with the least amount of stress, right? That's the most important part. A little bit about who I am. For those that don't know me, I'm a real estate broker. This is my 35th year. I'm going into my 36th year as a real estate broker. I do a lot of writing, a lot of speaking, a lot of radio. I've done a ton of radio interviews. I've been featured in a lot of newspapers and magazines. We'll talk about one tonight. I was on the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer. We were talking about the virtual reality and how that affects real estate. So what seems to be the most popular, everyone is asking me, especially in these webinars, I kind of narrowed down to one question. And that is, oops, I went the wrong way. How can I save money on taxes when I sell my home, right? Those on the call, many of you have been in your home for a long time. And now you're thinking about selling. Maybe you're 6 months or a year. I've had some people that are 10 years, and I've had people that never sell, just want the information, and that's okay. But basically, the rules are you can save up to $500,000 on the sale of your primary residence if you're a joint tax filer. So if you file your taxes together, $500,000 of gain can be excluded from federal tax. That's a huge benefit, right? And especially lately with prices, real estate prices have accelerated back up again. I believe these are the highest prices we've seen in my past 35 years. And I don't expect that that's going to continue. If you're a single tax filer, you get up to $250,000 of federal tax exclusion. So how does this work? Number one, it needs to be your primary residence. So you live in the house, you pay your bills, you have your insurance registered, they register to vote there. So that's what the IRS is looking. Did you establish your house as your primary residence? And then there's a period of time they're looking for. They need you to be in your house for a collection of 2 years. So it could be a week this year, and next year, a year, and the year thereafter, 6 months. And once you hit that 2-year total, that qualifies, and you get a $500,000 exclusion from federal taxes. That's a huge, huge benefit. Now, the tax code, of course, is in flux, and who knows what the future entails. Right now, the only thing I've heard that they're talking about changing are the 1031 tax-free exchanges. So those on the call that have investment properties, if you were to sell your investment property and buy a like kind another one, you can roll your taxes from one to the next and never pay gain until day of reckoning, right? But they're talking about cutting the quantity of how much you'll be able to exclude on a 1031. So that's the only thing I'm aware of right now. So tonight we're talking about a book I wrote, What You Really Know About Selling Your House. And those on the call, if you could stay on till the end, we're gonna we'll send you a feedback survey, and then we'll be able to send you a digital copy of the book. But certainly, if you wanted to buy one, you're welcome to go to Amazon. They're $14.95, but tonight you'll get one free, so might as well just do that. So you're thinking about selling. The part of and again, the book's going to talk about this, and that we're following the way the book flows. We talk about your mindset, right? Changing your home to an asset. And what I mean by that is strive to gain some emotional distance and change the showing condition of your home to appeal to the resale market. So what that means is take away the pictures from when the kids were in kindergarten, and then first grade, and then sixth grade, and then they went to prom, and then they're driving, and then they're college. Because we want the buyers to focus on your house, not the pictures of all the family, right? And my clients that grasp this generally do the best on maximizing their pricing, right? Because this is something that some people have a very difficult doing. Then we talk about preparation, right? How far in advance should you prepare? So some people say you could prepare a week in advance, or a month, or 6 months. Or 12 months. I believe, and tonight you're going to hear, it's a longer process. If you start and give yourself 6 months to 12 months, you'll hear tonight some of the things that are important to help you get your maximum price and why you should start well in advance. That doesn't mean you couldn't call a real estate company and get your house on the market very quickly, but if you want to get the maximum price, you start well in advance. And then when you should have someone visit, and how we do visiting, you can visit with a real estate company with FaceTime, Skype, Zoom. Right now, we're doing pretty much everything in person again, but again, we still had people during the earlier part of the year. We're doing things via remote and with various technologies. And the final piece, when you're thinking about selling, computer doesn't seem to like me. Is how do you do all these improvements, right? Because now when we come to look at your house and say you need carpet or paint, or there's some landscaping things you need to attend to, we have this concierge, and those on the call, even if you end up never selling, you're welcome to call us anytime, and we can connect you with painters or movers or electricians, handyman, whatever it is you need. We have a list of people that we've tested, and we'll explain tonight how we vet the people on our list and how we know if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I'm just going to pick one category, the category of painters, right? We have tons of different painters. Some people want painters that are quick. Other clients want someone that's very inexpensive. Some people want painters, you have an authentic house and it has very specific colorations. So maybe it's an English Tudor or something. What I tell you is we have tons of different painters, and the more information you provide for us, the better that is, right? We can make a better match that way. So there's two ways you could do this. You can go online, and we have a page on our website, and you fill out a form and just tell us. The more information you tell us, for example, if you need to get this done quickly, tell us that. Or if you need, super low cost people, tell us that, because we have different people we'll recommend. Okay. So again, even if you never sell, you just need some help, feel free to, we have people on here that can help with your stuff, right? That's usually the hardest part. What do you do with everything in the house, right? The furniture, the pictures, the collections, the tools, all those things. So we have people on our team that specifically work with our home sellers to figure out kind of the best plan is. They like to know where you're going to. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll make a floor plan of the new place, and then they'll go and look at your existing house and figure out, okay, the family room that has, 3 couches, 2 chairs, 2 coffee tables, and 4 lamps, you're only going to be able to bring 3 of those items in total. So we need to source and figure out what to do with that stuff. So that's something that person does for us. So again, if it's something you need, feel free to ask. All right, now for tonight, the most difficult topic we're going to talk about is this thing called a pre-sale home inspection. And we believe it's the single most important step in the process. It will help you save thousands of dollars and gain control and definitely reduce your stress. Most importantly, it eliminates all the surprises at the end, right? After the buyer has negotiated the price, all they're going to do is get a home inspection, and then they're going to come back to you and say, aha, I found out your house needs X, whatever that is. The grading isn't right. The roof flashing is not right. The downspouts and gutters discharge, into the basement. The hot water heater doesn't have a temperature pressure relief valve extension on it, which is a safety item. So these are all the kind of things that a home inspector can uncover. What I'm suggesting, and again, we talk about it in detail in the book, is to get the pre-sale home inspection in advance. And if you remember, those that joined us early on the call tonight, we talked about starting well in advance, right? Not a week before you're ready to sell, but maybe 6 months or so, or a year. And the concept is you can get the pre-sale home inspection completed, and it's kind of a punch list, right? It will tell you, okay, there's 30 things wrong with your house, or 10, or whatever. And again, no house is perfect. Even if it's a brand new house and it's new construction, same thing. We find that they're going to find things. So the question is, would you rather find out things in advance before you have your house on the market, or after you've agreed to a price, signed a contract, and then the buyer does the home inspection? And a couple things happen when you do it that way. The buyer either freaks out, there's a lot of remorse, and gets, nervous and exits the agreement, right? Because agreements of sale have contingencies for home inspection. And if the buyer's unhappy for anything, the buyer can walk away, and get their deposit money back. So what we're suggesting in the workshop tonight is do the pre-sale home inspection in advance. And that home inspector will treat it just like it's a buyer, right? They'll be looking at your roof, the plumbing, the electric, your appliances, the grading, your front sidewalk. Are there any trip hazards? All these, the electric panel, they'll take the lid of the electric panel off and look at the wires. Are the wires not double tapped, and are there any violations in the electrical box? And what we found after doing this for many, many years, even if say the town comes in and inspects and your electrician tells you it's right and all this, we still find things that aren't done properly, right? Because they're safety violations. So the idea of doing it well in advance, it gives you a time, right? You're not stressed, you're not under pressure. You can get estimates. Let's assume that you do the pre-sale home inspection and they find 10 things, 20 things, whatever. it gives you an opportunity to maybe decide if you want to correct those items before the buyer comes into the picture. And then what we can do is have the home inspector come back, and he does not charge. We have a special arrangement with the home inspector. He'll come back one more time and check whether did you fix the electric box, right? Because sometimes it's hard for you as a consumer to know if that vendor, did the proper fix. So remember I said earlier about how we vet our vendors? This is how we vet them, right? The home inspector, who we use time and time and time again, gets a chance to check the work if in fact you elect to correct stuff. Now, the pre-sale home inspection, you don't have to do anything. You can sell your house and give the buyer the report and do absolutely nothing. And the way it works is, see this section down here called contract language? What we're doing is we're setting the expectation for the buyer and the agent before they make an offer on your house. We're telling the agent, here you go, Mr. Buyer, Mr. Agent, Mrs. Agent, here's the pre-sale home inspection. Here's what we know is wrong with the house. And we're asking you, in contract language, we're going to put something like this: exclude the defects identified on the pre-sale home inspection report performed by ASHI Home Inspector Mr. or Mrs. X on XYZ date, right? We're putting that right in the agreement so they know we're not looking to renegotiate stuff. Now, here's what happens. About 55 or 60% of the time, a buyer will take the pre-sale home inspection report and accept it and not do another inspection. The other, 45% of the time or so, the buyer doesn't trust us, doesn't like the home inspection report, thinks it's not, they want to get their own person in, whatever it is, they go and hire the next person. But what we've done in the contract language, we say, go ahead, you're more than welcome. However, we're not going to renegotiate things we already know about. So if you find something new, that's fair game. Okay. So, oops, I didn't mean to. So these are all the benefits. Now, I always tell people, especially those that are thinking about the pre-sale home inspection, there's always pros and cons, right, to everything we do. And I like to make sure people know that. The pros I already talked about: saving lots of money and reducing stress. You can get estimates well in advance. The cons are, if you find a defect, say that home inspector goes into your attic and says, oh my gosh, it's leaking water and there's stains all over the sheathing and whatnot, you have an obligation of disclosure because you've learned about a defect. So that's one of the cons. You have to disclose it. But the answer is, most of the buyers are going to do inspections anyway and find stuff out. Now, let's look at during the pandemic. What we've seen has changed is, and especially the pre-sale home inspection, when we were in March of 2020, when the governor said real estate offices had to close, we couldn't show homes, we couldn't do anything, right? I thought that was the end of, our business. And then what we found maybe about 5 days or a week after that whole thing shut down, people started making offers on our listings without going inside. So you wonder, how's that possible? Well, tonight you're going to hear how, because there's some things we did. We did videos and drones and photographic images and floor plans of every single house, right? We made a floor plan. And the other thing we did was this pre-sale home inspection, right? So the buyer from their home could look at the video and then look at an inspection report and then review the seller's disclosure statement, which is like a checklist about the house, and get pretty comfortable that this house was pretty good. And then they started making offers. What we found was all the offers were contingent upon visiting once the governor lifted the stay-at-home order. And out of all the ones we sold, we only had one that fell apart, and that's because the buyer worked in the restaurant industry, and the whole chain shut down. It was like a 6 or 8 chain restaurant in this geographical app. They had them in Montgomery County and Chester and Delaware, and that chain just basically, closed. So what we did is we put it back on the market, and guess what? We sold it a second time, virtually without someone, coming inside. So, if depending on what happens with COVID, if it starts to ramp back up again, it's a great thing to have a pre-sale home inspection, right? It's one of the ways you can sell something without having people come inside your house. And if COVID stays exactly where it is and hopefully declines or goes away, pre-COVID, what we found with these pre-sale home inspections were we had no, fallout because we're not surprising any people. There's no, where is it about eliminate back-end negotiations and reducing stress and prevent, oh, here it is, prevent surprise problems, right? We didn't have any surprises because the buyer knew exactly what they were getting before they entered into the agreement. So that's pretty much the pre-sale inspection. And for tonight, like I said, this is probably the most difficult concept. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them at this time. I don't see anything. Hopefully I'm not missing any. I'll check my text because sometimes I get some people have texted me. I've had some people email me during these. I get emails and calls after these. So far, nothing. If you will have a spot at the end, if you want to ask, something comes to mind, you're more than welcome to ask. Okay, now we're going to jump ahead. We're going to talk, again, the book follows a process. And for those on the call, there's a couple things. We're assuming two things. We're making assumption that you might at some point sell a property, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. And at that point in time, you have two choices. You can sell, privately, or you can hire a real estate company. For purpose of tonight, we're going to assume that you're going to hire a real estate company. Okay. Oop, you had another question, and I'm going to go back if I can for a second so I don't miss it. And the pre-sale inspection, the question was like, how long would it be good for? How long would you recommend it? I would say, 6 months is fine. Certainly you can give one that's a year date. But remember I said that the contractor is willing to come back one more time. That's part of the process. So what you could do is have it done, 11 months or 12 months. And then depending if you're going to fix something, or maybe you just want him to come back to check again, he's willing to come back and he can redate it because he'll check. Because, you could have wood rot, things could happen in a 12-month period that didn't appear on the first inspection. So that's how to deal with the, timing question. Oh, we had some more people sign in. Awesome. Okay, some people. So the next part we're going to talk about is why you should only sign a day-to-day contract. So for those on the call that maybe you're thinking of selling, or you're 6 months or a year away, what I found of doing this for 35 years is most agents lock you into what's called like a listing agreement, assuming you're going to sell. And these are some of the kinds of things that I've heard about. People don't return calls, or the agent's not giving people feedback, or their property isn't appearing on the internet, or there's no 3D tour, or they're not using direct mail, or no marketing, right? These are all the kinds of issues I hear about because I've been doing this so long. I get a lot of business from homes that didn't sell because they want to do something differently, right? So what do I do differently and how do I operate? We created something called this easy exit listing. It means the door is always open. And I'm going to show you here, I'm just going to move my screen around a little bit. The way the easy exit agreement works, it means you can walk right out of your agreement with 2 weeks written notice for any reason, unless you're actively negotiating or if you sign an agreement and you're a week away from closing and you decide, you know what, I'm going to fire my agent. Well, the way this is worded, you're not allowed. That wouldn't be fair, right? But the concept is it forces the agent to perform at a very, very high level, because if they're not returning your calls, or they're not on the internet, or they're not doing marketing, then you can exit. And again, there's two ways you can exit. And what we found is the most of the companies, you have to be really careful when you're interviewing agents. You'll find that most of the companies, because they have offices with 150 or 200 agents in them, it's very hard for them to allow an easy exit, because it's hard for them to monitor quality control, right? If they started doing this, they would be in terrible shape. So many people don't do that. Okay. So after the easy exit, as soon as the computer, and we have some more people join. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Now we're going to get into more of the active listing. So for those on the call, we're following along this book, what you really need to know about selling your house. And you all get a copy of it in a digital form at the end. I'm following you through the process, right? And now I'm taking the assumption, we talked initially about, getting your house ready, and how do you're talking about the concierge. If you ever need a plumber, a painter, a carpenter, we have this concierge. Then we talked about, maybe doing a pre-sale home inspection. Let's figure out some things that, about the house, and we might want to correct them well in advance before we put it on the market. Or maybe we're just going to sell it as is and still give the buyer the pre-sale home inspection before they make the offer. And then we talked about, hiring a real estate company. Certainly you can sell on your own, or you can hire a real estate company. We're taking the assumption for tonight that you're going to hire a real estate company at some time. Now we're into the process of marketing. What do we do to market a property? Number one, still images. So this is the still images. It involves the interior, the exterior of the property. On the interior, it's special lighting is brought in to make the house look its best. And we also enhance some of the pictures. So when we enhance, it's fully disclosed, so the consumer knows that some of the pictures are enhanced. Typically, it's the first picture, because the first picture is the most important, and it must jump out on the page, because when the buyer is looking on realtor.com or Zillow or whatever they're looking at, there's lots of other houses to choose from. So we want to make sure your house stands out and looks extremely inviting to get the buyer to want to go to picture number 2 and 3 and 4, right? So we also enhance typically when there's panels, like if you had flat panel TVs, we would put an appropriate image on it. If you have a fireplace, depending on the time of year, we would electronically light it, with a digital process. So that's about the photography. The next part is the aerial drone, right? And this is a little picture of a drone. We do this for every single property. It doesn't matter if it's a 1-bedroom or you happen to have a 10-bedroom home. So the drone is next. We do the drone for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, it makes the house more important, and the buyer likes to see the topography and wants to see the setting of the house, and we want to show people. In fact, part of our job about marketing is bringing people in to look at the home. The other part of our process is taking people out that aren't the right people, right? If they don't want a house that has a flat lot or a curved lot, or backs up to a certain road or something, then why waste everyone's time on a showing if it's not right for that particular person, right? So the drone, we need to get approval. There's a process we file. So assuming your home isn't located, we just had one that was in the flight path actually of the president that we had to, we weren't able to film. We had some by the courthouses where we were kind of too close, so we weren't able, but in most cases, we're able to do a drone of every house. And it's basically a drone still images and drone movies, right? Moving pictures, so people can see around the whole property. The next part of the process is copy, what we say about the house, the written portion, which is really, really important. And 2 points about the copy. Number one, we are very careful about what we say, and we want to try to find things in the house that are going to be viewed and help us with Google. So from Google's perspective, we want to get your house at the top of the list. So we want to say things like, is there a Zoom room in the house? That's what consumers are looking for right now. So we try to figure out where in the house would be an appropriate spot for a Zoom room? Where in the house would be an appropriate spot for a home office? Do you have any gym space where someone could do a gym? What about outdoor space? Great for dogs and all that. So we try to put all those elements in the copy. And the other point of the copy is it's a female perspective. It's written from a female's perspective. So we have someone on our team that just writes our copy. And the reason they do that is because the decision maker in the purchase of real estate is typically the female. So we try to, I used to write copy, but the copy I would write would talk about the technical things, right? The 200 amp electric, the HVAC systems and all that. And that's not necessarily what the buyer is most interested in initially, okay? After the copy, comes direct marketing, direct mail, right? This is an antiquated technology or idea in marketing, but it's highly effective. And it's highly effective for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, I've been doing direct marketing for my 35 years since I've been in real estate. And what I found most recently is that there's way less competition in the mailbox, right? Most people are not doing marketing. But the beauty of direct marketing is you can target really, really well. So it's very possible to target by price range, by age, how many people are in the household, who in the household might be pregnant, what trimester they might be in. So what we know is if we're selling someone's 4-bedroom house, one of our target markets might be those with 3-bedroom homes, right? Because we know, and they have, 3 kids or 2 kids, we know, and someone's pregnant, we know that they might need to upgrade to a 4-bedroom, right? So there's 2 examples I'm going to share with you. One is on the left side of the screen is a contemporary home, and we specifically marketed this card. Our list was other contemporary homeowners, because the probability is if you own a contemporary house, it's highly likely that you're going to buy another contemporary. It's not very probable that a colonial buyer is going to buy a contemporary home. Okay, not that it's impossible, but that's some of the analytics we've looked at. So what we did is we sent this card, what we were selling, to all the other contemporary homes in a certain geographic area that has certain value, about 30% less than the price of what we were selling and target. The example on the right side of the screen is a picture of a horse. And this, we were selling something in the hunt country. And we specifically targeted people that had interest in horses, owned horses, subscribed to horse magazines and publications, were members of certain clubs. And we were able to target so well that we found the person that ended up buying this house received one of these cards. And the other thing, the reason we put a picture of a horse on this card and not a picture of the house is because people actually like their horse much better than they like their family and kids and spouse sometimes. So we realized that we would get a lot of attention with the picture of, marketing it to other people with a picture of the horse rather than a picture of the house. So I could go on for direct mail for hours. if you want to see more or read about what I've done in direct mail, I've got someone once did a study on what I was doing in a direct marketing company in Manhattan who writes a publication on direct mail. Had me, and they did a study of what I was doing. It was done some years ago, but it's really interesting if you want to read about it. Very interesting. The next thing is we make a single property website for every single property we sell. So why do we do this? Well, we do it for two reasons. One, we're doing it for Google. We want to make sure that your property gets to the top of the search engine result page, right? If someone's searching for your home and it doesn't come up high in search, that's not going to help in Google, right? When you're on the second page, most people aren't looking, or third page or fourth page. So it's very critical, comes up on the first page. So if you can see, and hopefully those on the call can see this, the URL has the address of the property, right? So we put that in specifically because Google likes this and it helps elevate your property to the top of the list. Search SEO, or search engine optimization, is very important. I went back to school recently and took a class specifically about SEO and real estate to try to understand how to help our home sellers benefit from all these ideas. So that's kind of the one reason we do the website. The other reason is it's a great place to park a lot of data we collect on the house. So you can see here this is the picture of the website. By the way, this was not the first picture that appeared when you were looking at like Zillow or Realtor.com or wherever you're looking at your real estate. This is a drone aerial shot, right? Notice this picture down here. Remember I said that we enhance some of the pictures? Typically the first picture we enhance. So you can see it has like a sunburst behind it. Some of the windows have been illuminated. The sky is very blue because we wanted you to, when you're searching, to see this picture and go, oh, this is really nice. Let's look at the next picture, and so on. So that's why that's done. And then it has some interior pictures here. And then notice the last piece right here. This is a floor plan. We're going to be talking about that tonight as well, how that works and all. So that's pretty much we call that the single property website. My favorite part of everything we do, and even for tonight, is something called the 3D tour. So this is something we do and make for every single property. And it doesn't matter if it's a 1-bedroom to a 5-bedroom or 10-bedroom. So you're looking at, this is like a dollhouse view of a property. And what this does is you can view this video on your iPhone, your iPad, your PC, your Mac. It doesn't matter. It works on everything, right? You don't need anything special. To create these, what we do is, you see this blue like target right here? Every single house that we create one of these for, it probably takes on average of about 3 or 3.5 hours. And the reason it takes so long is you need to set this computer camera down in the corner of a room, and then you need to leave the room, and the operator has to control it with an iPad. And what this does is it has all these lenses, and it shoots lasers at all to the ceiling and the floor and the walls. And what you do is, after you've done this one time, you then move the computer camera 2.5 feet and then leave the room, control the camera, and do it all over again, and so on, and move it 2.5 feet and keep moving it up the staircases and down the staircases. And when you're done, you have this amazing video of your home. In fact, it has the ability to really, you can zoom in on the walls and you could do lots of things with it. One of the things you can do is you can bring up a virtual ruler and you can measure window treatments, and you can figure out, boy, will the piano fit in this living room? And you can bring up all kinds of measuring. The other thing that's so awesome about this is it produces um, a virtual, after it's done in a 3D, it can be produced in a virtual format. Now, you do need the goggles, right? Not everybody has these goggles, but you can immerse yourself inside this tour as if you're literally walking through the house and you're part of it. It is the most amazing experience. So it's great. Remember I said early on how when the governor shut us down in the beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020, and I said, oh, we had the sales of property. Like, how did we do this? We had virtual, people didn't come inside. They were able to buy real estate. Well, they did it. One of the ways they did it is because we had these 3D tours, right? People could go in, look at the home as if they're there. I mean, basically, it shows you everything, right? And it works, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So it's like a virtual open house. It's a great, great, great piece of technology. And then the virtual reality piece here, if you have the goggles, which many people do, not everyone does, and they run from maybe, you can get cardboard goggles for like maybe $1 up to the ones I use. I'm a tech geek, so I have, a fancy pair. Maybe that was, $150 or so. By the way, the future of real estate and everything that's going to happen is going to be in this in the virtual reality space, where you'll be able to invite people in these spaces, and your kids that might live in New York and your decorator could be in Las Vegas, and your parents could be in Florida, are going to be able to join in these spaces and be able to modify the space. You'll be able to put furniture in the rooms. You'll be able to take out walls to see, geez, how would this look if I opened up the kitchen and took out the wall? Or, geez, I think I want to add a wall here or whatever. It's going to be able to do all that. That's really the future. By the way, it's a publicly traded company based in California. I have interviewed some of the officers of the company to try to learn more about the technology and how it works. And, because we were an early adapter, we started using the technology, I think about 7 years ago. Remember I said we were on the front page of an Philadelphia Inquirer story. We were the first people in the market that started using the technology. What we found, though, is that it's only used by about maybe 25 or 27% of all the inventory that's on the market. And the reason is, like I said, it takes a lot of time to do it. It takes, 3.5 hours or so to make a video. Also, the technology is still very expensive. The computer camera is not inexpensive, and you need all kinds of equipment to go with it. So it hasn't moved as fast as I thought it would, but I do believe it's a great thing to have for marketing real estate. I'm not going to demonstrate one. You're welcome to go to our website, all of our inventory. You'll see one, and you can, sample one if you'd like. But remember I said how this computer camera has lasers and, shoots the walls, the floors, the ceiling. The best part about this technology is when it's all done, it creates a floor plan. So this floor plan was created with that computer camera, and it was created it's using artificial intelligence. So we don't tell this computer camera anything about what room it is, whether it's a bedroom or a kitchen or a living room, right? Notice it puts the door openings in, which way do the doors swing, right, in the bedrooms. Notice it says this is a laundry room, right? It has the toilet and the sink and the stove and, all the parts of the kitchen. What's amazing about this technology is when you're all said and done with it, it produces, if you can see all the way down the bottom, it produces the square footage calculations. So a couple things about that. Those on the call, if you're in Montgomery County, Chester County, Delaware County, Bucks County, Philadelphia, so those are all the areas we service. We have someone in the office that covers Delaware, and we have also someone that does New Jersey. I don't personally do those areas, but I'm in the counties. In the counties I just mentioned, typically you're going to see the county is keeping track of the square footage of your house. What we found many, many times is the records are wrong. And pricing is determined many times based on how large your square footage is. So the benefit of this technology is it tells us the square footage. Now, a couple caveats. It's a laser, so it's shooting the internal measurements, right? When the house gets the appraisal visit by the appraiser, that's done. Oh, I missed another call, another question. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I'll answer that in a second. So it basically measures on the inside, but it's pretty darn close, to what an appraiser. So what we're able to do is we're able to, if the square footage of the county, say you're in Montgomery County, it says your house is 2,100 square feet, right? And now we do this plan and it says, oh, look, it's 2324 square feet. Well, guess what? Your house is now worth more money because we're going to override what the county says and we're going to adjust the square footage, right? So it has a huge benefit. And the question, I'm sorry, I missed it because I only have so much screen space and it's hard to see everything at the same time. Someone asked, are there any extra costs for the direct marketing, the writing, the internet tasks, in addition to your commission? And the answer is no. All the things that I do are all part of my my standard process. And I've decided to, people wonder, well, wait, why do you do all this stuff? Like if not everyone else is doing it. We do it because it definitely helps sell a house faster. When you have a video and when you have a drone and a floor plan, the public goes online before they come inside to look at your house. They're looking at all this stuff to determine if they want to come inside. So part of our job is to get it so that we give them all the information, right? And then it's helpful because if you have the virtual tour or the video, and it helps them decide if they want to see the house, right? And especially if we have, depending on what happens with COVID, it's another benefit to have it. Okay. So anyway, now we're going to talk a little bit about some internet presence and what we do. Again, we're still in the marketing chapter. So we go to all these various websites. We don't know which one's the best at any given time. We do know some of the statistics, like realtor.com is used by 86% of the population when they're looking for a home. The other one that's really, really popular is Zillow. A lot of people go to Zillow. Truly is popular. Some of these other sites, again, they vacillate depending upon what marketing and all they're doing. But what we found, we just need to be in all of them. So what we do with all our data, remember we said we make this website for your property. What we do is we send that link and that website up to all these various places, right? So it populates and gets out there. And then when someone's looking on like Zillow, we upload the tour so they can see the 3D video. And, that's how, the more places that you upload to, the better your chance of selling for faster and for more money. So now we're going to get a little bit into social media and how we use social media and how that works. So we're in all the platforms, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram. And what I would tell you is certainly follow us, like us. We do lots of promotions. We do a pie day for Thanksgiving that you can be part of, which we'll be doing again this year. Last year we still did it. We're outside. Maybe this year we'll be inside, but that's really a really fun event. But we do all kinds of stuff. So certainly like us. The other thing is, I would tell you to check how we do. You can check our success on Google. You can Google my name, for example, and see how I come up. So not only do I do the same things for my home sellers, I do that for myself so that, if someone's searching, uh, it's important to come up, top of list, because if you're not top of list or close to the top of list in the Google world, it doesn't really help you. So again, we have all these links. You're welcome to join us. We're going a little further in the process. I'm watching my time. Hopefully I didn't miss any more questions. Maybe let's just check to make sure we didn't get any more Q&A that I missed. Okay, no, good. So now we're further along the process, and you need to get people in to visit to see your home. Like, how do you do that, right, when you're listed with a real estate company? So we use this automated appointment service. And what we found is the job of this company is only scheduling appointments for our home sellers. And it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they can confirm with you via call, a text message, or an email, whatever your process is. Because some people have kids in the house that are working. Other people have other family members that are there, in-laws in the house. Other people have pets, or whatever that might be. And we follow your wishes exactly. So before an agent were to come to your house, this company can confirm with all these various people and make sure that everyone knows that there's a showing, occurring in your house. The other great thing about this technology is it will allow virtual only appointments. So that's how we're able to keep track when, in the early part of the pandemic, we're able to keep track of, who's looking at it from a virtual perspective. And then finally, it has a login to text showings, and it gives us feedback. So the feedback is very, very important, right? What we want to know is, what do people think of your house, right? What do the agents think of your house, and what does the public think about your house? And I will say, we do not edit any of the feedback. We take the feedback as it comes in, and then we send it to our seller client so they know exactly what people thought. And you'll get, on average, we generate about 70 to 80% of every single person that visits one of our properties will give feedback with this technology. The reason is because we program this software to contact people after they show your property 5 times, right? Because we know we need to keep kind of asking for feedback so that we can get 70 to 80% of it, and then we can put it in this graphical presentation, because I'm very visual. I like to see things. So this is what we take all the feedback we get, and we put it into this program to see how are we doing from a visual perspective. You can see, how we're doing, and what do people think of it? What did they think of the experience? Best to worst, how was it? And this one's really important. We look at price. What did people think of price? Here's a graph where only 9% of those that responded thought the price was just right, and 91% said, no, that wasn't the right. So we generally like to see like a 50-50 ratio. So here we know we might have a problem. We might need to make an adjustment. So we're almost coming to the end. And again, on any one of these topics, I could spend a day on, but we only have an hour. So it's a very compressed process. Certainly those that haven't asked any questions, feel free, if you want to use the Q&A, you're more than welcome to. And as I said, those on the call at the end, we're going to tell you how you're going to be able to get the book. And I think the other thing we're giving everybody on the call is the Jeet card, which we're trying to support local restaurants. I'm going to show you what one looks like, hopefully, and we'll send that to you as well. It's basically, you can see what it is. It's a little credit card, basically, and you'll get up to 4 guests. We'll get a 20% savings on your food bill. And then, there's a website. You got to see the restaurants in Delaware, Chester, Montgomery, Philadelphia, South Jersey, and you have to use one of those, go to one of those restaurants. Okay. So it's great to help the restaurants out. Okay. Back to the presentation. In the book, we have way more questions. I think we have 12 questions if you're thinking of hiring a real estate company. For purposes tonight, I picked the five top questions. The questions are in white. My answers happen to be in yellow just below, that I think are the most important if you are going to interview a real estate company. First, I think you'd want to know is how long has the person been marketing real estate, right? So for me, just so you know, I said that I've been doing this before we had light bulbs, not really, but since '86. So I'm coming up on 36 years. The next question is, am I locked into a contract with you? If so, for how long? And this, I don't know, some people probably came in late, maybe they didn't hear this. We said that we have this easy exit agreement, and if at any reason you're unhappy with what we're doing, with 2 weeks notice, you can be released from your agreement. The only exceptions are if you're actively marketing the property. If you're actively negotiating, you're going back and forth, or if you've sold your property and you're coming up on settlement and you say, I just want to exit, that wouldn't be fair. So that wouldn't apply. The next best question is, what is your average sale price to list price? And I have to tell you that all these analytics were done pre-pandemic, only because it's been a crazy market during the pandemic. So these are the analytics just before the pandemic. We haven't had time to update them, but we're running 98% from what we would ask for what the property sold for. This is before the pandemic. During the pandemic, I'm going to bet we're probably right around 100 or 101%, because some things are selling over market. And then I got to move some things so I can see the question. What is your average? Number of days on market? How long was it taking to sell a property? And we were 37 days, and the rest of the market, which is over here, was running 94 days. And by rest of the market, what we did is we looked at the counties of Chester, Montgomery, Delaware, Bucks, and Philadelphia. And then we compared our results against those counties. And the last question we think is a great question to ask is, do you recommend a pre-sale home inspection? And I think you're going to hear some people say no, because a lot of agents don't do this. And one of the reasons they don't do it is it's a process, right? It takes a lot more effort. And I believe it's in the seller's best interest to do this, because you can uncover things in advance and you can sell a house by setting the expectations without having to necessarily fix a lot of things. So my answer, of course, is yes, and I believe it will save the seller thousands of dollars and eliminate a lot of the back end negotiation. Okay, so that's the top 5 questions. Again, in the book, there's a total of 12. So I'm just going to, for those maybe they came in late or missed some things, I'm going to do a quick recap. And again, this is something we do for every single home seller we represent. Is we do a 3-dimensional tour. That's that 3D. Remember that picture where it was like a dollhouse view of a house, and we create this 3D video, if you will. It's called the Matterport. Again, I said it's a publicly traded company. They're headquartered in California. If you wanted to see some more, you can go to our website or look at Matterport. Then we turn the 3D video into a virtual reality video, right? There's some technology we have, so it converts into a virtual experience, and then you can put the goggles on and immerse yourself inside the video. And like I said, you don't need any special tools to watch the 3D. It would just work on your phone or your iPhone or your Android or your PC or Mac. The virtual reality, yeah, you would need to have the virtual goggles to do that. The next thing we do for every single property is the floor plan, and that's what we said. There's tons of benefits. It's the neatest thing. In fact, we recently put one out in the house, and I know that it got a lot of attention. It was a house that needed some work, and we left the floor plan out, and we were showing the house, and the buyer came in actually with an architect because they were thinking of making some changes to this. And the architect looked at the floor plan and he was like, "Well, who made this floor plan? Like, he had no idea that this technology was available." But I can just imagine the architect was thinking, "Oh my gosh, that just took some of our business away," because when they used to measure with rulers or lasers or whatever they're doing, now it can be done with technology. Not that you don't need an architect, and you'll still need an architect, because if you have to do drawings or stamp or modify things, you're going to still need an architect. But it was interesting to see that. Then we got into the still image photography. We talked about some of the pictures are enhanced, but we do disclose that. Then we talked about the aerial drone, which was that overhead, why we do that, to make it look more important and to show people the topography so they can see, is it flat, is it level, what's next to it, is there a garage, does it tuck under the house? They want to see all that. And then we talked about the easy exit listing agreement, that says basically if at any time you're unhappy, you can terminate us with 2 weeks advance written notice, except if you're actively negotiating or you've sold your house and you're just waiting for it to go to settlement. And then the final part is we talked about the single property website and why we do that. Again, it was for search engine optimization, for Google likes that to help your house when it's being for sale, to get it to the top of a list. Then we showed you some targeted direct mail. If you remember, there were two images. There was an image on the left side of a contemporary home, and then there's an image of a horse. I like targeting direct mail. It works really, really well. And again, we have to figure out who the right person is, where we think they're coming from, and then we can target those people. Then we talked a little bit about some social media, some Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and certainly you're welcome to follow us on all those channels. Those that maybe came late, we talked about the home seller concierge, how we, why we tell people to start well in advance of a year, because maybe your house, you would have us come in and maybe we'll tell you, oh, the front landscaping needs to be enhanced, or how does the house present itself when you pull up in the car? The highest return you're ever going to get is on the exterior of your house. And the most important part is, how does it present itself when a buyer were to park their car at the curb, as they walk up the driveway, as they come down the front path, and they come to the front door? Those are the areas we're really going to put a lot of attention in. As you go inside the house, your returns on investment fall significantly. So if you're thinking about putting a kitchen or a bathroom in, you might get a return on investment of 55 or 60 cents on the dollar. I follow a lot of analytical sources and publications and things that track what return on investment is. And what I've seen is the highest return is your front door, right? Why do you think that is? Because that's that's the buyer's like literally walking right up to your house, and they're about to come inside and they're looking for the key and everything. And there's that door. So how does it present itself? Are there flowers on either side of the front door? Is the door clean? Are there cobwebs? Is there a kick plate on the bottom that needs to be polished or whatever? But very, very important. So that's kind of what we look at. And then we, actually, these are two topics we didn't talk about, which I'm going to briefly talk about. One is this thing called an absorption analysis. We do this for every single home seller. Before we figure out price and what the house should sell for, we look at absorption. This is the analytical side of what we do. And what it does is a look back of 12 months to see how many homes have sold in the prior 12-month period. Then we look at what the active inventory is in your marketplace. So I'm just going to say, let's say you're in Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, and your house is going to be it's worth $350,000. We probably look between $300,000 and $400,000. And if it's a 4-bedroom house, we'd only focus on single-family homes that are 4 bedrooms or greater. And then we'd look at what that data set has in it. And what it would tell us is how long it takes. Once we know how many homes sold in the prior 12 months, we know that number, and you would multiply it times the number of active inventory. Now, during the pandemic, what we're experiencing is absorption numbers, no matter where you are typically very, very low right now, right? Because there's very little supply. Supply is like minimal. As you climb up the price ladder and go into the higher price ranges, you're going to see that it's not as liquid and things are taking longer. Plus, what we've seen over the last, call it from the beginning of July, we've seen the market start to shift. Now, what we don't know yet is that shift as a result of, July is a really big vacation month, and is it because people have, left the market because they're going to the shore, the Poconos, or, to Maine or wherever they're going on vacation? And do they feel like they're tired of, overpaying for property as, they're getting in all these bidding wars and people just are running out of steam? What we are seeing is we're seeing more inventory come on. So as more inventory comes on, that will start to, that also has an effect on the market. And the driving factor is the interest rate. So interest rates right now are somewhere around 3%. Projections are that they might go up as high as 3.5%, but who knows if that's anything could happen with interest rates. But what we do know is prices have been moving up. People's incomes are on this line. And what we've seen in prior cycles, I've been doing this for 35 years, and these prior cycles, like the last one of 2005 when the market ran up, and then 2008, it's slowed down. We always go back to look at the analytics from those prior markets, and what we've seen is at some point when prices go up so much, right? And here's your income level, affordability kicks in, meaning at some point the buyers aren't able to pay. They can't afford the inventory, right? It's rising too fast, too quickly, and it's maybe not sustainable. So that's usually what happens. Either prices have to come down so people can start to afford again, otherwise houses aren't going to sell, or people's incomes need to rise. It's rare we see the issue of income rising. What we have seen is interest rates are very, very low. So that's helping and driving the market right now. So this absorption, what we're talking about here is, and this question comes up on every one of these, if no one's asked it yet, is when the best time to sell. So pre-pandemic, the best time to sell was the month of December and January. And the reason for that is these numbers are the lowest. You have the least amount of competition. The market does the best during those times. And it's because once you hit Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, by then people, if the house hasn't sold, they take it off the market. What we're seeing in the pandemic, though, is we think the best time is sooner than later because we're not so sure of what the future, how real estate is going to perform, the sustainability of the market, if it's going to continue. I practice what I preach, and I recently sold my home because I thought we were at the top or close to the top, or maybe we've hit the top, and I wanted to get out while prices were the highest. I have yet to buy, so I'm on the sidelines. I'm kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen before I jump in to buy something again. So that's kind of a long segue into absorption. And this final piece, those on the call tonight, and I don't know if anyone on the call has an historic home, but we have a historic home researcher, and we've been fortunate, and I love old houses. So we brought someone on our group that does research, because what we found in people that own historic homes, buyers want to buy historic homes because they're interested in the history. So this is a very long process. It's something, another reason to start well in advance. Some of our history of older houses can take, multiple months, because we're pulling deeds and research and doing a lot of really neat stuff. So it takes some time to put that together. So I'm going to, I went a little bit over, but we did have a couple questions, not a lot of questions tonight. I want to know, does anybody have any other questions you want to ask? And then in the interim, while you're typing or asking questions, remember I said those in the call, you're going to get two things. We're going to send everyone a survey, so you'll be able to get a digital copy of the book I wrote, What You Really Need to Know About Selling Your House. It's free. And then the other thing, those that, I don't know if you all heard or not, but we'll send you this thing called a JEAT card, JEAT. You have to register. You go online, but basically it works great because there's a list of restaurants and you get a 20% savings, because we're trying to help some of these restaurants that have been significantly hurt during the pandemic. And what we found in the pandemic, it says for in-home, or excuse me, it says for, valid, I think you have dinner only and one card per table, right? So they want you to come inside. What we found though was a lot of places or people weren't comfortable coming into restaurants. So if you call the restaurant, you might find that you could just do takeout if you're not interested in coming inside to a restaurant yet. So keep that in mind. And yeah, boy, we didn't get a lot of questions tonight. So, and I'll stay as long as we have questions. Oh, and the survey, you're going to get a survey that I'd be super grateful, because anything you could tell us to help improve these webinars would be awesome. Pre-pandemic, so back in January of 2020 was my last in person, and I was in I did one of these for a YMCA, but I have done my workshops with, if you know of anybody you think would benefit, I've done them for CPA offices, for law firms, for corporate, what they call like a lunch and learn, where I come in and I bring lunch and, they get an hour to hear different speakers and stuff. I've done that. So if anybody thinks of someone else that would benefit from one of these workshops, at some point I'll be going back and doing these in person, I would think, hopefully. But right now we're just doing them virtually. So keep it in mind. If we have no other questions, I don't think we have any other questions. Have a great night. Thank you everyone for spending a little over an hour with me on Monday, and I'm grateful to have you. If you think of questions, some people want to ask them after, feel free to email me or text, whatever works best for you. But again, thank you very much and have a great night, everyone. Talk to you soon.